The third most powerful earthquake in Oklahoma's recorded history jolted the northern part of the state this weekend. The magnitude 5.1 quake centered near Fairview was felt in 7 states overall. Maria Villarreal has more on Oklahoma's dramatic spike in earthquakes.
The ground keeps shaking in Oklahoma and more violently. This year already 140 quakes, 3.0 or larger, an average of 2.5 per day. Before 2008, the average was 1.5 per year. The small town of Fairview is quickly gaining a big reputation for large quakes. It was the epicenter of yesterday's 5.1 and just last month a 4.8.
It just kind of rattled, and got stronger and got stronger.
Geologist Todd Hallahan teaches at Oklahoma State and believes water disposal wells used after hydraulic fracturing is linked to the quake increase.
Unfortunately, we have a side effect that we're generating seismicity due to the injection wells. These are pretty startling when you feel them. There's now a lot of people experiencing them on a pretty broad scale.
Homeowner Kathy Matthews says the state has mixed up its priorities.
There's a greater impact on the economy when you have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate that's being damaged by that activity.
So far, Oklahoma has no plans to stop hydraulic fracturing, but state officials do plan to reduce the number of injection wells by several hundred as early as next week. Mireya Villarreal, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Extreme weather wreaking havoc across the U.S.
My whole entire house is flooded.
In Acton, California, a sudden downpour flooded Hillary Mulligan's home, leaving it covered in mud.
I just couldn't believe it was like a monsoon rolled in, a really freak storm.
The driver of this pickup truck was trapped in the floodwaters and had to be hoisted to safety by a helicopter crew. In Burlington, New Jersey, torrential rains caused extensive flooding, leaving many motorists stranded. And in Chicago, stormy weather forced the Lollapalooza Music Festival to shut down early. Singer Lorde was performing on stage when organizers called for festival goers to evacuate Grant Park, where the 4-day outdoor music concert is being held.
Now, for more on this, we're joined from our downtown studio in Toronto by senior climatologist with Environment Canada, Dave Phillips. Dave, good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us today. I want to start with the fact that Houston officials said that there was not enough time to coordinate a mass evacuation. That is why there was no evacuation order, no voluntary or mandatory order. So how unpredictable was this storm?
Well, I mean, hurricanes, we often see them coming, but yet the character, the personality of them, sometimes you just don't need to know it to the end. For example, in this particular storm, it almost exploded. It was like a weather bomb all the way. It went from a no-name event to a Category 4 with winds of over 200 kilometers per hour in 56 hours. And then, of course, once it got a little bit over the land, it dropped its Category 4 to a 1 in about 12 hours. So that was sort of unprecedented in terms of the growth of this particular storm. And but it was a lot of people were focusing on the on certainly the winds at the beginning. I mean, winds of 200 kilometers per hour. And then, of course, what the real damage has been from all of the precipitation. Because what happened, Lois Lee, was that this storm is just stayed put. It's stationary. It just sort of stood out like an unwanted house guest and wouldn't leave, and more time to spread its misery. And that's why we're seeing this unprecedented amount of precipitation. I mean, the amount of rain that would fall in Houston in 1 year, they're getting in 6 days. And so it's really been the amount of rain, and then, of course, with the storm surge. I mean, water is trying to head to the Gulf and also coming in from the Gulf with storm surges. So it's really been, I mean, the United States, the National Weather Service does not use hyperbole, and they've been using words like life-threatening, unprecedented, catastrophic, and it's clearly been all of those.
The most powerful Atlantic Ocean hurricane in recorded history is making its way across the Caribbean. Residents in the area have been preparing for the worst and are now riding out the storm.
Wildfires burning out west. A brief downpour and cooler temperatures provided some much-needed relief for crews battling a record-setting fire in Los Angeles. The La Tuna fire has burned more than 7,000 acres. All mandatory evacuations have now been lifted. Meantime, in Montana, the Lolo Peak fire has burned more than 42,000 acres. More homes were evacuated over the weekend. Firefighters are clearing the brush and knocking down trees to limit fuel to the fire. And in Oregon, all of the hikers who were forced to spend the night trapped between two wildfires are safe back at home this morning. Officials had ordered them to stay put Saturday night until firefighters could clear a safe path out.
Could see record-breaking temperatures this week.
That's right. Some places could be in the triple digits for the next several days. And Joy Benedict is live in Woodland Hills with details on a heat advisory. And Joy, is it already warming up out there?
Gotta tell them to get off the playground or come inside for a little while. Now here in Woodland Hills, it is going to be a scorcher. We're talking of highs of about 107 to 108 degrees, as Craig has been talking about. And tomorrow it's going to get even hotter. And I know he'll have more of that later on in his weather forecast. I'll send it back to you guys.
11 degrees below zero right now in Chicago. And take a look behind me. You can see the vapor rising from Lake Michigan here. It's that cold. And overnight, we got new video showing just how cold it is here in the Midwest. Take a look.
Oh, God.
When it gets this cold, black ice is king.
They need to get somebody out here to stop this.
It's just one of the countless ways the frigid polar vortex is crippling more than half the nation.
If you can stay in today, stay in all day today.
And now to Saudi Arabia, where sub-zero temperatures in recent days have led to an unusual sight, a blanket of snow in the desert. Now, Saudi Arabia has a hot desert climate, but now snow covers desert sands in the central and northwestern regions. Cars are skidding on roads because many motorists are unfamiliar with driving over ice. But excited Saudis are making the most of it as some make snowmen and have snowball fights.
Biggest similarities between all these different closed Walmart locations is the sheer number of shipping containers being housed in the parking lot. Between the police guarding the building and the increased amount of security cameras, you would almost think that Walmart was some sort of secure facility.
One of the videos in the Ohio one saying that they heard booming noises that showed that they were talking about building underground. And there's been so many of these Walmarts being closed down and turned into these federal facilities and closed off.
Obviously, it's undeniable that they are getting ready for something. What are they getting ready for? To you with the real agenda at hand, and that is these Walmart tunnels. Walmart tunnels, conduits for DUMS, FEMA, ETs, Chinese military, or cheap labor, or like I like to say, all of the above. It's by Liberals Unite. Now, I don't know if you all know this, but this is not a conspiracy. But what is Walmart also doing? Walmart is converting a lot of their Walmarts, not only in the FEMA camps, but they also are providing underground tunnels.